is Mayor Trevor Elkins. Thank you for joining us for this free, live, interactive State of the Village event. Tonight I want to fill you in on all the important things happening in our community, but most of all, I want to listen to you. Your ideas couldn't be more important to me, so I hope you'll be an active participant in this first ever interactive State of the Village. While we wait briefly for a few more people to join us, please know that you can watch this live on Facebook, and you can ask a question at any time by simply pressing 0 on your phone or by leaving a comment online. We really want to hear from you, so we hope you'll ask lots of questions. It looks great. It looks like we're having a pretty good audience join us, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Thanks again for joining us. I'd like to start by letting you know that as your mayor, my top priority is to help improve the quality of life of every resident here in Newburgh Heights. I couldn't be more proud to be your mayor, and I love this exceptional community. When I took this office, Newburgh Heights was strong, but a forgotten community. We were hard hit by foreclosure crisis, and there was little to no new development. We're a community of neighbors, and together we've gotten our city lined up for a bright future. Our budget is balanced. Our latest audit was completely clean, with no findings, and today we have the largest surplus in the village's history. Our work has made it possible to do a number of different things, including investing more in our police and safety forces, expanding our housing department, and improving our neighborhood. We've maintained our roads and our infrastructure, all without increasing taxes. We've invested in meeting space for our seniors and our entire community, and we've secured improvements. And we're well on our way to even more improvements with the Senior and Military Housing Grant Program and the Student Loan Assistance Program. We're on the right track, and the future of our community is bright. We have so much going for us. Easy to commute downtown. Downtown Cleveland has all to offer. Is only 5 minutes away. We sit on the towpath trail where you can literally ride a bike to Akron, all the way downtown Cleveland. Looking forward, my passion is to make Newburgh Heights a top choice for families and seniors and the place we want to move. We'll expand our tax base, secure economic investments, recruit new businesses, and most of all, make Newburgh Heights an even stronger community. So with that, let's take our first question. Before we do, I just want to remind everybody that if you have a question, please press 0 on your phone and comment. And again, when you ask your question, just state your name. A couple quick points, I guess, before we move on. I want to talk a little bit about some of the economic development we've done and some of the work we've done and partnered with Cowden County. Most of you know that Newburgh Heights was hit pretty hard when the economy hit the Great Recession back in 2008. That led ultimately to the RTA bus garage closing. And as a result, when the RTA bus garage closed, that was about an 8 to 9% general fund revenue hit for the village. It's been my mission since becoming mayor to find a new use and reactivate that facility. And as part of that process of reactivating the RTA garage, we reached out to Chicago County and suggested that they modernize the facility, but perhaps consolidate their service department and their service garage into that facility. It's taken us some time to get there, but we did ultimately negotiate a deal that would restore the revenue lost by the RTA garage, which was about $100,000 per year in annual revenue. Cowden County has begun to invest about $15 million into that facility, and shortly, within about a year, they'll be moving close to 200 employees to that garage, working here in Newburgh Heights, generating almost double what the RTA garage formerly generated. Now, as part of the process, we did agree to share some of that tax revenue with Cowden County for a period of 12 years. So we've restored about 90% of the revenue we lost in the RTA garage, and in about 12 years we will fully restore, plus double that dollar amount. So from that perspective, we've really taken a huge approach to revitalizing the tax base here in Newburgh Heights. So from an economic perspective, we have added a tremendous number of jobs at the former RTA facility, which is now Douglas County Public Works. Additionally, we have crafted a Harvard Avenue commercial district. And in that district, and with that district, we have begun to identify places along Harvard Avenue for commercial development. It is our goal, as we continue to build and create a walkable community to calm traffic on Harvard Avenue, to find businesses that are amenities to the very lifestyle we're trying to build here in Newburgh Heights of continued close-knit community where you can walk down your street and perhaps go to a restaurant or a coffee shop right here in Newburgh Heights. So as we continue to develop Harvard Avenue, we're planning trails, a trail system that connects the Towpath Trail to the Metro Parks trails along the south side of Harvard Avenue as a multi-use facility, trail. Additionally, we are working to move the sidewalks off the north side of the trail in an effort to make the businesses there more appealing for people that are just simply commuting and using alternative modes of transportation. Just as a reminder, if you have a question, again, I want you to press 0 on your phone, or you can leave your comment online at any time. Question from Judy online. The question is, how is our budget doing? Are you going to increase taxes? Well, that's always the question, right? So the good news is in Newburgh Heights, the budget is as strong as it's ever been. We've had now 4 straight years of a surplus, and we do have the largest rainy day fund in the history of the community, dating back as far as any records that we have available. Although it's not our goal, we are sitting at about $300,000 for a general fund surplus. Our goal is over a period of the next decade or so is to move that number to $1 million rainy day fund. Now the good news is we've done that without raising taxes. While communities around us have increased their income taxes from 2% to 2.5%, some even higher, we actually have maintained ours at 2%. We have no intention of increasing our income tax at this point. In fact, we've actually restored the credit, and we'll increase that next year. It'll go from what it is today to 0.75%, which is higher than the former credit that did exist. So we're actually going to be giving a little bit back in the form of income taxes, and at this point there is no intent to increase property taxes. So I think we're in a good spot. We've actually reduced our trash fee from $12 per month to $1. So we're really improving the village's finances without having to raise your taxes. Again, if I could just remind you, if you have a question on your phone, please hit 0 or leave a comment on Facebook. Question from Tom: what happened with the Channel 5 lawsuit? Well, that's a good question. So we are pleased with the results of the Channel 5 lawsuit that was filed against Channel 5 News. It's important for you to know that your tax dollars were never used in the Channel 5 lawsuit. It was a personal suit filed by myself and 4 members of council. Channel 5 made statements, as you know, that were false about the village's billing policies. As a result, we personally pursued legal action to correct the record, and we were vindicated when Judge Friedman issued the following ruling. And what he said on the record: Channel 5's news story is all tip and no iceberg. And he also added, Newburgh Heights' practices are completely legal, and Channel 5 exposed no scam. So although we did not win the defamation suit, we certainly were vindicated, because what we really set out to do was prove that the policies that the Newburgh Heights Council and I have put in place together were really about making sure that your tax dollars were protected and weren't used to subsidize insurance companies' pocketbooks. So we have a question from, I believe it's Dave, also on social media. What is being done about vacant homes? So Newburgh Heights has had a pretty robust housing program since I've become mayor, and we've done a couple of things about vacant homes. The first thing we've done is require all vacant homes to register. So if a property owner has a vacant home, a bank, a real estate company owns a vacant home, they have to register that vacant home with us. If they don't, they do receive a fine. Part of the reason we require those vacant homes to be registered is so that our police department can monitor whether or not people are in and out of those homes. We don't want people's plumbing and windows and furnaces and things to be stolen. So that allows our police department to identify homes that are vacant, and if they find somebody in those homes, to take appropriate action, but also to protect the investment of the property owner. So Newburgh Heights only has about 30 vacant homes out of our total stock, which is a very, very low percentage. Additionally, what we do with vacant homes is we require inspections to be done to make sure that the homes are still maintained to a high quality standard, so that the people that live near them know that their investment is not being jeopardized. As part of that process, what we've done and found is that some homes simply have been allowed to deteriorate to the point where they are obsolete and unsafe. In that process and in those situations, what we've done is we've gone through the legal statute as outlined by the state of Ohio to determine whether or not the home should be condemned and demolished. And we have done that in the case of about 40 homes here in Newburgh Heights over the past 5 years. So, in addition to having good property owners that want to maintain their investment, register their homes, we've gone after homes that are vacant and abandoned and left to rot, and we've removed those homes from the village's housing stock. Again, I just want to remind you, if you are on the phone and want to call in with a phone and with a question, press 0, or go ahead and leave your comment or question online. Okay. This question is from Sue. What was that story with the police officer and you in your office late at night? Well, there has to be that question, and I'm actually glad you asked that question, because I think it's important to get it on the record and simply state the story is a fabrication and never happened. It was a false affidavit filed as part of a lawsuit on behalf of a disgruntled police officer that the village fired over 5 years ago. The allegations made by the officer in the affidavit had nothing to do with the case. The termination was ruled justified and was caused by both state and federal courts. The officer's attorney was simply trying to coerce a settlement from the village and the taxpayers. They threatened to release the affidavit just a week before I was scheduled to compete in a contested Democratic Party leadership election, and I believe they thought that filing this affidavit would embarrass me into using your tax dollars to avoid the affidavit becoming public. What they did not expect to happen was for me to tell them absolutely not. It would not have been right to cave in to the bogus demand and to the disgruntled employee's coercion. The village won the case in both federal court, and Judge Nugent dismissed the portions of the affidavit pertaining to the attempt to publicly embarrass me. Bottom line is, the effort was made to smear me into settling the case at your expense. In the end, the officer issued a formal apology for filing the affidavit in the first place, and actually admitted he never did investigate whether it was true or not. So with that, I'm really glad and pleased to be able to put that on the record and finally put the issue away. Thank you. I just want to make take another quick question. Before we do that, just a reminder, if we need to hear from you. If you're on the line, you want to ask a question, press 0 or leave a comment online. Okay, Joe asks, what is being done to maintain roads? Are we going to have to pay more to keep them in good shape? Well, I can say this. Recently drove the village. Of course, right after I drove the village, it happened, but recently drove the village about a week ago. and did not find a pothole. Today I drove the village, I found a pothole. So we'll get that fixed, but I'm pretty proud to say that the over half of the roads in Newburgh Heights have either been completely replaced or had significant work done on them in the past 6 years. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Newburgh Heights has over 8.5 miles worth of roads, and it is our job, and it will be our goal to continue to maintain those roads. We will pursue every avenue that we have to find revenue in order to maintain the roads here in Newburgh Heights without a tax increase or without a road maintenance levy. Thus far, we've been successful. We've aligned our budget in a way that has allowed us to use that surplus that we have as matching funds and grants. And without that surplus, without continuing to grow that surplus, those grants become more and more scarce as both the federal and state governments require matching grants. So we've leveraged ourselves well. We don't believe we're going to need a tax levy for road maintenance. Again, hit 0 if you want to ask a question, if you're on the phone, or go ahead and enter one online on Facebook. I was getting questions handed to me, or put in front of me, but I can't see that far, so they've had to hand it to me. So can you talk more about what's being done to bring in new residents? So there's a number of things being done. One of them I've already talked about. What are we doing about vacant properties and blighted properties? We've made a strong effort to remove houses that bring down property values. So we've done that. We've taken that first step to kind of set the stage for greater economic development and growth by bringing in new residents. We've also positioned ourselves from a safety force perspective so that we have first-rate first responders. In Newburgh Heights, if you call the police or you call the ambulance or the fire department, you're going to have somebody at your door in 3 minutes or less. Oftentimes it's far less than that. Sometimes you're still on the phone with dispatch and they arrive at your door. So we have first-rate safety forces and safety responders. It's important because that people want to know that if they call their government's going to act. That's what we pay taxes for. So for us as village council, who's behind me, and myself, that is one of the things that we focus on, making sure that if you move to Newburgh Heights, you know that your taxes are going to the things that you pay them for, and that is first top-notch safety forces. Newburgh Heights this year will, for the first time, have 3 police officers on duty 24/7, every day, every hour of the day. There's going to be 3 police officers on duty. That might be the highest per capita number in the county. It certainly makes sure that our residents are well taken care of. You may have heard over the past couple of months the innovative program that council helped me adopt, and that is the student loan grant program. We've implemented this program with the intent to bring new residents to Newburgh Heights. Our population has steadily declined over the past 40 years or so. Like most of the communities in Northeast Ohio, as the economy's changed from an industrial economy to more of a knowledge-based economy. So what we've done is try to create a program that will attract new families and new college graduates to Newburgh Heights so that we can more readily participate in the knowledge-based economy. The way the program works is pretty simple. You graduate from college, you purchase a home in Newburgh Heights that's valued at $50,000 or more, and then agree to live in that home for 15 years, and we will reimburse 80% of your student loans up to $50,000 after living in that home for 10 years. You live in the home for another 5 years, a total of 15, you'll get the other 20%. So if you owe $50,000, for example, in student loan debt, you'll get a $25,000 grant. If you owe $100,000, you'll get a $50,000 grant. As long as the home that you purchase is a single-family home, an arm's-length transaction, and you agree to live in the home. So how does that program pay for itself? It doesn't cost the taxpayers money. because the people that move into the home they pay income taxes and property taxes throughout the time that they're living there. What the village does is on an annual basis meet the demand of the agreement so that at the 10-year period, those dollars are in escrow and are ready to be paid out to the new homeowner. So we've gotten tremendous response from that program all across the country. And hundreds of phone calls, hundreds of real estate agents are looking to build homes or to move their prospective buyers here in Newburgh Heights. So we have a question from the audience.
Hi, my name is Terry. I'm just wondering, say a potential person with a student loan wants to buy a home, but instead maybe they want to not necessarily refurbish it, but maybe tear it down and build a new one. Does that still qualify?
So if I understand the question correctly, what you're asking, if somebody buys a home in Newburgh Heights, decides to demolish it and build a new one, does that qualify?
Yeah, for the student loan program.
So the answer is yes, depending on which home they apply to. It is, one of the things being discussed is the grant portable? And the answer to that is the yes. So if you buy a home in Newburgh Heights for say $60,000 and then want to move that home to say a brand new home for $200,000, we are prepared to allow you to move and transition that grant program with you.
Wonderful, thank you.
So again, if you're online and you have a question, hit 0 and we will go ahead and get you that question. Mary asked, what's the latest on the traffic cameras? So photo enforcement remains legal in Ohio. Several years back, the state legislature passed a set of laws that allowed communities, as long as they follow a set of rules, to use photo enforcement. So we do that. We can fully and completely comply with the state law. In fact, we go a little bit above and beyond what the state's minimum standards are because we believe in providing everybody with due process. So with that, I think we have a call online, and that call is, I can't see that far. That call is Ted. So Ted, if you have a question.
Yes, sir. Hi, this is Teddy, and I'm just wondering if there are any new prospects for businesses in the village, any requests for permits for anything, and if so, what are they? And in addition, we noticed some surveyors at 49 Harbor near the site of the old police station, and I was wondering what activity that was about. That's my question.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you. So it was Teddy, not Ted. So thank you, Teddy, for the question. So the surveyors were actually here to survey and do work for the Harvard Avenue Bridge replacement. They were with Rulin. They were using the site of the old police station as a staging area. So they are not related to the business, any prospective business going into that facility. We have actively worked with a number of different developers and real estate agents to bring new business to Newburgh Heights. And in that process, we have had conversations with Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, let's see, Sonic, Dollar General, Arby's, Taco Bell. So we've crossed the spectrum of potential end users for that site. No one has signed on the dotted line. I think our consensus is with council and I think our consensus is a Dunkin' Donuts would be fantastic.
Yes.
However, we don't really get to pick that. There are ongoing conversations. Part of what we've done for economic development here in Newburgh Heights is created the Community Improvement Corporation that allowed us to develop a CRA, which is a community reinvestment area. That's a state regulated organization that provides economic incentive for commercial development. And in that process, what will happen is if a developer decides they want to build on any given site here in Newburgh Heights, we have the capacity and the ability to provide them tax incentives and tax rebates. State law says you can only provide a 50% tax rebate for commercial development, but oftentimes that's enough to bring an end user here. So we are working on that. Our ideal end user, I think, is a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, but we have unfortunately not been able to get that done yet, but it's close. Again, if you have a question and you're on the phone, go ahead and press 0, and we'll get that question in the queue. Bob asks, won't bringing new people harm our tight community? Actually, what we think bringing in new people will do will reinvigorate and restore the tight community we have. Many of our longtime residents have moved out, and those of us that are left here, we're fighting to keep things going and moving forward, and it would be nice to be able to add some new faces to add to the community, participate in the athletic programs, participate in our, your local churches and congregations and civic organizations. So we think adding new families will enhance the fabric of Newburgh Heights, create new ideas, new energy, and really bring in some vitality to help us really kind of spread the word of how great a community Newburgh Heights is and why you need to live here. Just as an example, our fiscal officer, our current fiscal officer moved here about 5 or 6 years ago. Actually, it might be 7 years ago now. So they're a new young family that's moved to Newburgh Heights. They've invested. They got to know the community. Kathleen applied for the position of fiscal officer. She's very well qualified. And now Newburgh Heights is kind of her permanent home. So we're excited to have her. And that's the kind of example of what a new resident and family can do for the community. Thank you. Okay. Any questions? I would encourage you, if there are any more questions, if you want to hit 0 and go ahead and log in, or to answer your question, go ahead and do so. I would encourage you to continue to have a discussion online. I'll do my best to take a look at those questions and answer those at another time. Just want to kind of wrap up and conclude. I'm pretty confident that the future of Newburgh Heights has been as bright and positive as the past 7 years have been. We have set the stage for really putting a plan down and writing about multiple facets of how we're going to go forward. We've updated our master plan. We've updated it a second time. We've created specific plans for various parts of the community, including the Harvard Avenue corridor. We, in fact, just tonight, council had a plan for our Parks and Recreation Department and how do we make those amenities strong and valuable and accessible to the entire community. We're now working actively in Columbus to help us find funding for parks and recreation, trails, roads, all outreach that had for a long time kind of lagged. And it's shown in the past 7 years, we've had $30 million in public and private investment in Newburgh Heights. You can see that firsthand in the way that Harvard Avenue has changed as far as being repaved. The side streets are seeing attention on a regular basis. Speedway has now been fully renovated, remodeled, and expanded. That was a $1.5 million project. Family Dollar built a new store here in Newburgh Heights several years ago. When they purchased that property for that store, the total taxable value of those 6 properties that they acquired was only about not even quite $500,000. It's now almost $3 million. We are generating several $100,000 a year in tax revenue just from that one development. In addition, we removed 6 pretty blighted, including a fully burnt out blighted property, and replaced it with a storefront and an amenity that people could walk to on their street. And one of the best, greatest examples of the progress we've made is the building we're talking to you from right now. Newburgh Heights occupied 2 buildings for all of our municipal services that were in a pretty rough state of repair. Those buildings were obsolete 25 years ago, and we were keeping them, spending thousands and thousands of dollars a year just keeping them open. We had vehicles that were forced to remain outside all year long, adding to their decline and their decay. And what we were able to do is leverage the property we had acquired on the new Village Hall site, as well as the former warehouse on the corner of 42nd in Harvard. We were able to take that, leverage a strong budget that we had put together, leverage what revenue, our income tax revenue we had. We leveraged that to acquire $6.5 million of financing that will pay off over a period of 20 years. Our goal is actually to pay it off over a period of 15 years, and we're on track to do that. But we wanted to take that and leverage it so that we had a home for the next 50 to 100 years here in Newburgh Heights that would become the catalyst for redevelopment of our revenue. So we are in a position right now in Newburgh Heights to take off. People notice what we're doing. They're beginning to emulate the progress we've made. Other communities are adopting our policies and they're following our lead. And you know what they say about flattery? Imitation is the best form of flattery. So we're being imitated. I want to congratulate you as residents of Newburgh Heights for believing in us, and I want to thank you for believing in us as we move forward and continue to make Newburgh Heights a strong, vibrant place to live for many, many years to come. Thank you for participating tonight. Continue to participate online, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again. Thank you.